I should call Who Wants a Very Large Painting in that vein. And those are some photographs of some of my paintings, the more recent ones, which I had just taken to a gallery that wants to have my work. And now we'll go into the bedrooms area, which I'm not sure is presentable either, but we'll find out when we get there. This is another junk room, which is supposed to be my sewing room, but it ends up holding paintings which are in a state of decision. Also, is there enough or not enough? And this one is one that just fell down. It's not one of mine. It's an artist who recently died, and his work has always inspired me because it's wet and loose and very juicy. It's quite an old painting now. And just, you can see, this is the junk room. I'm looking out to the side where the Bob has the collectors. And just stuff. Too much stuff in here. Okay, I have to get out of there. I should close that door and keep it closed. This is in the other bathroom, which we think about remodeling too, but we haven't done yet. This house was built in 1962, so it isn't too dire need of remodeling. They certainly put in a lot of closets and cabinets, which I'm thankful for. This is our bedroom, which is I quilted that bedspread about 10 years ago, maybe more. And we did replace these windows. They were just regular windows, and we put in double pane windows. And that looks out onto the side. And then just the furniture and another painting up there, and this looks out to the backyard and the mess out there. But and then we put in this mirrored closet door system, which turned out to be kind of nice. And I guess that's basically everything, I think. I think I've shown you everything now. I'll go this way. There's the living room again. Studio beyond. And fireplace. And to the front door. And that's it.
Where's your person? Jason, get her license out of there. Do you have a pencil or not?
It's a permit, it's not a license.
On His Highness. She's a good-looking woman, eh? Et voilà the ruby. Ah. I am afraid, Mademoiselle Sarah, that it is evident to me that the flirtation
de Kooning, Rauschenberg, Nathan Oliveira, and Richard Diebenkorn. After returning to Colorado, we began to get the feeling that the West is where I really wanted to paint all this time. Late 60s and early 70s, and I was trying to use some of the abstract paintings that I had done before, the abstract feeling, and kind of convert that into new modern paintings. And some were successful, some weren't, and I continued to enter shows, and sometimes I would get into shows, sometimes I wouldn't. But at least it got me to the West, where I wanted to be. And we were in Colorado Springs for about a year and a half, and decided that I needed to get to the West Coast, where the larger galleries were, and I felt that there were other artists that I could meet there. Living in that part of the country, the light is a lot different than any place else. I think the color became a lot cleaner and a lot brighter. Possibly not as bright as it is here in New Mexico, but it kind of helped me develop a nice color sense of clean color. And I think that was very important to my work today. I know that I'm noted for the use of color. And while living in Southern California, I had entered the National Watercolor Show, which is based in Los Angeles, and won several of the shows. And I did my first lithographs with Bud Shark up at Boulder one summer. We developed 4 lithographs. One was a very successful lithograph. The others were okay, but at least it got me hooked on lithography and printmaking. And I guess I've been very much involved in printmaking ever since. I continued to live in Southern California and decided that the only way that I could really learn lithography is to own and work at my own press. And had Bud Shark come out to the studio and kind of help me set it up and help train a man to run it, because I didn't know anything about running the press, and began to experiment on my own. Pat Cafaro worked for me for 2 years, and he kind of read books and kind of trial and error, and we kind of developed some prints. Some prints were very nice, some prints were dogs, and some we had to tear up. We went through a lot of paper and a lot of solvents and a lot of inks, but that's the only way that I felt that I could learn lithography. I came across some prints that were done by Nathan Oliveira up in Santa Barbara, California, about 1970. I always remembered those prints. And so when I had my press, I began to experiment, trying to get that quality, and that's how I became involved in the monotype. It's basically a drawing and a painterly print, and that's what I really wanted to do, is get more of a painterly quality to my prints. The unique part about having your own press is that my sons were able to work with the presses. They worked alongside Pat Cafaro. They worked for about a year, and my son felt that he needed to go to school. He was invited to work for 2 Tamron master printers at a print shop in Newport Beach, California. It was called Oceanworks. And my son worked there for 2 years with 2 master printers and learned all the technique about printmaking. He learned how to process all the stones, and worked, pulled prints on his own. And that's how my oldest son, Danny, really received it, or got his training from 2 master printers. My sons have been working with me for the last 2 years, and being that I was raised in the West, and my parents were born and raised in the West, especially in New Mexico, I always had a wanting to come back here. So I guess that's basically the reasons why we moved here. We felt that Taos was a small little town, it was quiet. The light was good for me here. I felt that it's an old, established art colony. Danny, let's do a real warm color combination blend. Maybe use 3 colors: yellow ochre, maybe a nice yellow cream color towards the center, maybe a nice lavender, a nice clean lavender towards the bottom of it. And let's try that.
These are lithograph inks. The difference between etching inks and lithograph inks, the medium to make lithograph inks is use varnish. And the etching inks are an oil-based ink. So that's the difference. The printing quality is about the same. The lithograph inks will dry flatter.
Purple's just a little too sweet.
You try to sneak up on the colors. If we go too far one way or the other, you waste a lot of ink. So
Brown. Just give me a little cream about in here. And you're going to blend those pretty tight.
right.
Okay. And let's go with the lavender on top. The monotype process is really an old process. Started back in the 1700s. Rembrandt, Degas, Pissarro, and all of the old masters were really the first ones to discover this. They would work on, a lot of them would work on glass, and a lot of them would work on old etching plates.
Greasy film on top of these plates, like especially the zinc plates, help adhere the ink to the plate. If you use solvents on them, they kind of want to mush out.
I think most of my ideas come from just actually starting the painting or starting the monotype. I start to put some paint down, put some marks down, play with it for several hours and kind of get a feel of what I want to do, because I think it's more of it comes more from within you than to have it all planned out and thought out.
Get you some more room over here.
This whole area. And let's see what it does here. Sometimes you get a little intimidated with it, but it's always better to just go right into it and not be afraid of it. This imagery I've kind of been wanting to get into for a number of years now. I'm just now beginning to experiment with it. So I'm basically working with kind of a cross abstract and let the imagination kind of let the imagination kind of get into the piece. I always like to play with the total of the composition. I like to use some of these little block areas on the sides of the pieces. It's just basically a balancing composition.
I'll bleed off print here. The paper's not going to quite go to all the edges here, so we don't have to worry about cleaning them.
Okay.
I'm going to pick pretty much everything up here.
Excellent.
You'll get some
Okay.
nice lines down the bottom there.
Oh, great.
Make sure that corner's down, Danny, on that, yeah. Well, the paper really got flattened out, and it looks like it's really going to soak that this up. Take it up slowly. Really, when I enjoy painting, when I get the best type of work, is when I truly just don't have anything in mind, look at a nice blank canvas or a monotype or a nice piece of watercolor paper and just put some paint down, put some marks down, and I began to develop the painting, and it begins to grow and it becomes exciting, then I can stay with it for several hours up till midnight or all hours of the night. If it's going great, if it feels good, that's when I stay with it, and that's how I develop my work. The ideas come a lot easier that way.
You can't have get any information on the truck. Well, he could fix it himself.
How much would it cost
$50. Work it up to experience. Now you're gonna remember that butt from now on. I feel probably the same way. He couldn't do that thing. I tried to. I didn't realize that time was a long time ago.
No, he really shouldn't have been there.
He should have been behind us. That would have been worse though, because we'd have gone right underneath it.
Would have been in the whole trunk probably.
Yeah. He should have really been behind us.
Behind us probably would have been far enough